marks and doing things like scribbling and just having a good time with a black brush pen. Fat marks, skinny marks, drawing, making things, letting things just be. So what Michelle was saying about yesterday being with Robert is that this pre-language is about being,
Yes.
which is my favorite philosopher, Martin Heidegger. Anyway, so this whole question about marks and how marks are always an affirmation of who we are in our and then in our consciousness. So I've done a lot of this kind of writing, right?
What is?
Yes.
Yeah. What is the difference, or maybe there's not any difference between what you're working on there and automatic writing?
I think in the world of ischemic art, it would be considered the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's without meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It's writing without meaning. Automatic writing.
Because I like those shapes very much.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
automatic.
Yeah, it's made without language. It's a place of no language.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pre-codification. It's intended to have no meaning. Right? I mean, I operate in my paintings against the assumption that there is something that can be read. Okay? All my paintings are constructed with working against the assumption that they can be understood. Okay, so that's how that's why I'm an abstract painter. So this writing is very different from this writing. Yes?
Yes.
So there is voice here, okay, and it's the voice of the hand, and it's not connected to a code. So.
And the voice of the hand originates from the voice of the mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I just was playing every day, different kind of thing, and then these are just little marks, and I go over here and I say,
Oh, it got snaky.
Isn't that Lizzie? That's a Lizzie snake.
That's a Lizzie snake.
Isn't that a Lizzie snake? And then it flips the page and it becomes something entirely different. And now there's landscape and marks that designate landscape. That is a thing. So marks, and then here on this page, it starts to go back to landscape. So there's this idea that codification, there's an origin. There's a place of origin for encoding things. Last night I listened to a kingfisher. I didn't know it was a kingfisher because it was dark, and I could hear it, and it was in the mangroves right in front of our condo. And then this morning I saw the kingfisher, and it was up and very high up in the air, out, and it was making the exact same sound that the animal that was under, making this little clicking, it almost sounded like a telephone, but not a ring, but a click, 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 like a teletype, or something. So anyway, it's the same thing.
Was this one today?
No, this might have been yesterday. But this was, I added on to this today. So this is really about a kind of transition from the sound. So I got involved in sound as a codification, how sound gets codified. And that's the conversation you were having this morning about moving, that beautiful description you had of learning how to read from the sounds.
Yes.
what was the word we used? Phonetic?
Phonemic awareness.
Phonemic. I love that word. I thought I need to write that down in here. So this is actually this idea that this is manifesting. It's manifesting. And this then became sound. So how does sound then, and then I did this whole thing with Michelle this morning, and I said, so I was thinking about sound, and I was thinking about and how sounds come out of whatever, whether we're kingfishers fishing in the sky or whatever. So I did, this is a graphic of the breath, which is required for sound, the sound, and then the manifestation of the beginning of meaning, of giving something meaning. In Landmark, we're very fond of saying there is no meaning. And when you think about that, you say, there's no meaning. It erases. It's just like there's no thing. It erases everything. And it pushes you back into this place of reimagining the entire world. Yes. Insight. Phonemic.
Awareness.
Phonemic awareness. So
Phonemes are sound units. Phonemes are sound units.
Sound units, okay. So this was a conversation, okay? This is a conversation. Just noise. That's another word we use in Landmark. Noise is the stuff that rattles around in your head that you just can't stop. That makes you mad. Okay, so then I thought, okay, so if sounds were like, you could go from to I said nothing. There was no meaning. And then I thought, well, what if you wrote a book like this? And I now I want to write a book. I want to write this book. So here's the title. And here's the author, here's the editor, and here are the chapters. And then all of this insight needed to be recorded in language. So I created my own script. This says, disappear the past. And the past is all of the codification that we have suffered since our parents taught us how to say mama and papa. And this is be in the present, which is to be between the disappeared past and the creation of a future, or to create the future. Okay? So, here's the beginning. And this is text and language with language emerging here in these little pockets. So it's like the beginning of saying, oh, yum. Okay, that's a yum. That's a yum. And then we go to, here are the beginnings of language where the sound gets separated out and just becomes a sound, a phonemic
Awareness.
Phonemic, this is the page I got, phonemic awareness. And then that phonemic awareness needs a little bit of space to become something more than just the phoneme, but can hook up with something else and begin to make language. And the language emerges here in the identification of self, which is the I, because that's the center. of the thing. Now, this idea of the transition between an abstract mark and a code, and here these are just little figures, is something that was explored by an artist named Henri Michaud, and he did a lot of work on this idea of how these little phonemes kind of morph into this meaning. He did it with figures. So this is a little homage to Henri Michaud. But I've been sitting inside of this idea of, and this is Wittgenstein, of the relationship between text and image, like, because they're distinct. In our language, they are distinct. This is an image, this is text. Images convey information differently than text does. Images operate just beneath language. I mean, language is part of what they do, but they also operate beneath because they rely on all of the senses. And also the amygdala, which is the place that protects us from any danger. So that's always in operation, probably. So that's like the beginning of dealing with this idea.
I think you've already written yeah.
I think actually Wittgenstein wrote the book first, but
Well, I mean, the
I'm
book
giving it
that
a
you
whole
were
di-
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've already written it.
right.
Yeah. You're not finished with it.